Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, always join me with is Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, we got a packed show tonight. We're going to preview the UFC Baku card. Headlined by Khalil Roundtree and Jamal Hill, but we got to go back to the crime at the scene in Atlanta on Saturday. And Kamaru Usman must have had it. Y'all must have forgot absolutely show on Saturday, and you maybe even Rose Namajunas to a degree had a y'all must have forgot moment. But to me, Kamaru Usman definitely Saturday night. He could have easily said y'all must have fucking forgot, because he just beat Buckley up and down in all 5 rounds. I thought maybe not the 5th, but for sure 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, I had it 4-1, and yeah, you absolutely have to give Usman his credit. So let me get that out of the way and giving him his flowers. I was completely wrong. Thought it was. I put a little bit too much into past performances, especially the last Leon Edwards fight, where Usman seemed to really struggle with, connecting his hands when he was going for the takedown. And I thought we were just going to kind of see more of that with Buckley. And I thought, Buckley would be a little bit better of, wrestling off the fence and stuff like that. But immediately when Usman got that first takedown, it was, oh shit, because he got him down, and it really didn't seem like there was a scenario where Buckley was getting back up. He was kind of punching through takedowns, not really trying to, get back up, and just more or less kind of accepting the position, which isn't really how I thought it would play out at all. I thought Usman would be kind of looking a little bit more slower. He still didn't look that tremendously fast to me, but he did show that he absolutely could still use his bread and butter to, get these positions, which is more or less kind of what he did. He didn't have to, really take any risks or anything. I'm not trying to really write Buckley off. He did show me some stuff in the fight, like making the final adjustments in the 5th round. I just kind of wish he could have done that sooner. His cardio definitely held up in the fight. So, if I'm grading on a curve and future performances, I definitely think he can get better from this moment. But I was, pretty surprised at how, unwilling he was to try to get back up and just, accepting the position. I mean, the takedown numbers are kind of deceiving because, Usman got 1 around, and that's pretty much
that's all he needed.
Yeah,
that's all he needed. Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Usman absolutely did look like a former champion, and he used some of that experience, and he was rightfully emotional after the victory. I think he said it perfectly when he said he just needed to get the monkey off his back there. I don't know if in his next fight, if he'll move forward a little bit more with the striking. But after the first round, I couldn't see any reason why Usman would fight any differently. But it was good to see, Buckley make the adjustments in the 5th. I don't know if that was more, his Usman's gas tank was starting to hold up. But, I guess people, a lot of people are surprised that it got fight of the night because it was a little bit one-sided. But we did say we were going to get answers, and, we definitely got those answers. In the very stacked division, we got kind of one of the old bulls kind of continuing to get victories. And I'm sure we'll get into what's next for him. But definitely, credit to Usman for kind of looking like vintage Kamaru there.
Yeah, he looked like Kamaru of old a little bit instead of an old Kamaru. He looked good, and man, he looks so big. Like, you forget how big he is. And it's just like, if you would have pointed at those two guys and like, which guy used to fight at 185, you probably would have pointed at Kamaru over Joaquin, right? Especially when they're like kind of standing next to each other, because he's just kind of stood over Buckley. And I mean, Kamaru just kind of reminded everybody, like, you're right, like the takedown was one per round pretty much, and that's all he needed, because he didn't need to do, like, Buckley, those first four could not get up. And it's just like, finally the adjustment in the fifth, but it's like that was a little too late. Like, you had to get the knockout, and we know Joaquin can do that, but Usman is just too smart of a fighter. He's going to avoid put himself in that situation. Now, we've seen it happen to him once, obviously, with the Leon fight. And it could be just the time off, right? Like, he was pretty active when he was the welterweight champ. I felt like really him and Izzy and Volk, like during that pandemic period, like from 2000 to probably like 2003, like those 3 years, they were fighting quite often. And I think it really caught up to all three of them. He took obviously the longest layoff and really the longest layoff, from welterweight. We went through the numbers last week, and, he looked good. And, Joaquin was just like, it's like, where was it? Everybody, including myself, including you, like, we were ready to put Joaquin into this elite level, right? Like, hey, man, he could be talking a title. Like, he could be here, and now he loses to Kamaru. And Usman kind of said afterwards, like, hey, this is what I'm not going to put my hands together. I'm not going to fight like exciting fights. I'm going to wrestle everybody until I get to the title, until I get the title shot, and he probably is good enough to out wrestle everybody there is in the world. Like, we're talking a guy who, that's his bread and butter, an elite grappler, and he showed it on Saturday night, and we know what he can do. We also know, like, I think part of that used to be his game plan, like going into every fight, and then he became the champion and he started knocking out folks. He started knocking out the Burns and the Masvidals. And so he started using his hands, and then there was the Canelo. He wanted to fight Canelo talk, and that's really not who he is, though. He is, this is a guy who's an elite grappler, an elite wrestler, and he reminded us all on Saturday night. Like you said, though, like, who is next? Let's start with the loser and Joaquin Buckley. What's next? What do you do with Buckley? Took a chance at elite guy and came up short. I don't know. I don't want to say it was a bad performance, but it wasn't. I don't think it was what we expected. But I think more people give more credit to Usman than discredit Buckley in that fight.
Yeah, it's weird because when I was watching the fight, I was looking at the performance we got, and the first thing I questioned is, it might work against Ian Gary and stuff like that, but at that top, I don't know if he can keep, wrestling and, doing that. Like, but we'll get back to that in a second. Going back to Buckley, I think it is a performance that he is going to learn a lot from. He is still very young. I think he's like 31. So, I mean, he still has a lot of time to get better. If you're just asking the fight fan in me, I'd say match him up with Carlos Prates. I think that's going to be a fan-friendly matchup there. But at the same time, I wouldn't have an issue with giving him someone that might have a little grappling in its own, because, that's kind of where I want to see him get better at. I mean, in that position, I'm not trying to question anyone's training or anything, but it almost seemed like this wasn't even like drilled and stuff. Like, maybe he's not even with guys that can put him in these positions and stuff. But, just like looking at the rankings and kind of the run he was on, I think a Prates fight would be more than perfect. Or if they want to get even spicier, they could, try matching him up with Morales there. But, I think the Prates fight would be perfect, especially judging Prates's last performance against Gary. And that'd be a good way to get momentum back for both those guys there.
Yeah, you took it right out of mine. Mine is, and that's the Michael Morales fight. I mean, they're both 7-8, so that kind of matches them up well. If you want them to fight down the protest fight, at all the way at 13, that seems like a fall for me. You know what I mean? And they're both. I mean, I guess they're both coming off losses. But so, do you want protest to fight back up, even coming off a loss? Um, I thought Joaquin looked better than Protest did against Ian Gary. Both were kind of the same, though. Both really didn't turn it on till the 5th round, which was weird. You know what I mean? Um, it, um, I'm
But the
probably
cardio kind of held up for both because, like, that was our biggest question with the protest fight too. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm with you on the Morales thing, but that one to me seems a little bit too much like upping contender versus the guy that's coming off a loss. I think the protest versus Buckley, not looking at the rankings, of course, but I think it would just be a much, fan friendly on both sides there.
Yeah, I think even the Morales fight would be a fan. Like, that's 2 elite strikers, you know what I mean? And 2 young guys, too. Hold on one second. Sorry. I was looking at the rankings here real quick. Yeah, and I think I'd like to do Prates and Kevin Holland. I know we talked about Holland last week, and I kind of feel like that's still more of a, even what about what do you think of Jeff Neal and Buckley? Maybe they've already fought. No, that was Wonder Boy. Huh?
I'd actually love that, just from the aspect of Jeff Neal is going to kind of throw some of the stuff that Kamaru was throwing at Buckley. So it would kind of force him, to get better in those lanes instead of just, preparing for a striking match, which is essentially what Protest or Morales would be. So I would have really no issue with that fight. I'm not sure if Magny's booked or not, but
Jeff Neal. Magny's not even in the rankings anymore.
Oh yeah, no, Jeff. Yeah, same thing though. Same kind of style, and is going to definitely use the fence and stuff, and kind of gonna force Buckley to have to cage wrestle and stay off the fence if he wants to knock him out. So thinking about it, I'd almost kind of rather prefer that for Buckley, just like on the long-term career front.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd like to see him just fight somebody kind of down in the rankings. I'm looking at like that top level is just, and we've kind of played this welterweight. We talk about it almost every week here. It's just like there's so many good killers and there's so many good players in this game. And Kamaru, what is a title fight next for Kamaru Usman? Is it Islam? You don't think so?
Absolutely not. And granted, with me saying this, I have nothing but respect for Kamaru Usman and the previous reign he's done. But I am so sick and tired of these undeserved title shots. And it sounds strange calling it an undeserved title shot to someone that was considered pound for pound one time and the quote unquote boogeyman of the welterweight division. But I'm sorry, that type of win does not, and I understand why he's going for it. He's got the same manager as Islam, so it probably would be pretty easy negotiating power, but not even close. Like for one, I would just if we're doing it like that, I would just give the next title shot to Shavkat, who already has kind of gone out and earned it. And you could really miss me with all the he hasn't fought yet, with Usman coming off this, huge layoff and then getting a great win that, granted, he was the underdog on. But in my opinion, that is not enough to put him next. I think the best matchup for him is the one that he was dismissing at the press conference, because that is what I was asking myself when I was watching this fight. You can do this to Buckley, but can you do this to Bilal Muhammad? And I do not think he can. I think Bilal would be able to stuff those takedowns and make it a striking match. And that would be the one. Okay, if you beat Bilal, then you can jump everyone in line at that point because Bilal is at 1. But I mean, what was Buckley going into this? 7?
Yeah, Buckley was he's 7 right now. I don't think he
Yeah.
dropped in the rankings. I think he was right around there. Yeah.
And Usman has been sitting on that spot for I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
And it's
2
finally
years.
so like I don't mean to disrespect your former champ in calling it undeserved, but I that's just kind of the way I see it. Like I do not think what he did on Saturday is enough. It'd be one thing if we were talking about an unhealthy division where guys are squatting their spots and stuff. A lot of these guys at the top have acknowledged that they're going to probably have to fight one more because
Maybe 2
Islam
more.
is coming
Yeah.
in. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Usman, but you are no better off in that situation than some of those young guys. So absolutely needs one more. And if he gets one more, absolutely give him the Islam fight. But I cannot see any circumstance when the UFC would. Now, maybe I should bite my tongue on that because especially it looks like they're going in that stupid Yair direction.
Yeah.
But like from a logical standpoint, absolutely not. I think he respectfully needs one more fight. And I think that one more fight should be against Bilal. You know, I think you could easily do that 5 if you want and build it on its own event or make it a 5-round co-main, kind of like they did with Mosavar and Pico in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, no shade at the former champ, but I want to see at least one more.
Yeah, so I think would I be surprised? Would I be surprised if they give him a title shot next? Absolutely not. I'm not. I wouldn't be. I don't think anybody would be surprised, right?
No, I wouldn't either, and that's why I'm being so vocally outspoken about it.
Yeah. I don't think anybody would be surprised. And in fact, I would be like, I see it, especially if it's Islam and they can do like the number 1 pound for pound guy versus the former number 1 pound for pound guy. 2 guys, almost at this point in time, legends in this game, guys who have been there, done that. I could see that. I could see where they make that title fight. Now, obviously, Islam's got to beat JDM and, so much and so forth. But I'm kind of with you. I think Kamaru needs one more. It's either got to be to me, him and Bilal make the perfect sense. You got the backstory from the pod. You got him no-selling Bilal. You got Bilal really no-selling Kamaru Usman with his tweets on Saturday. So you got the beef there. So you know me, I anytime there's a storyline and there's some real beef there, I'm all in. Like that's the fight we need to make happen.
The buildup would be elite.
Yeah. So they've already sold me, right? Like I'm already it's either got to be him or Shavkat, right? Like when Shavkat comes back, those are the 2 fights.
See, I'm surprised you went there because I don't necessarily disagree. I would love to see that fight. But so are you pretty much saying that you think the UFC is going to make Shavkat do one more before they give him Islam?
I think at this point in time, because it's been so long, it's been 6 months since his fight, right? And it sucks because he was supposed to get the title fight in December, gets hurt, wins that fight, gets hurt, misses out, and now it's like, and where we were at 6 months ago to where we are now is like 2 totally different. It's like the division has just completely changed. So, and I'll tell you what, if Brady and Ian Gary get their fight in before Shavkat comes back, that's 100% to me. That winner of that gets the title fight next. So if I'm them 2, I'm saying, hey, let's get this fight going next. Like put me on the same card as the JDM Islam fight. And then like, cause that way the winner gets next. Like you're already in step. And if Shavkat hasn't fought by then, or doesn't have a fight booked by then, like around that, maybe it could be like the next month, and then like, you know what I mean? But he's gonna have to get back and get healthy. And you know how much I love Shavkat and how much a fan I am of his. You know, I've been claiming that he's a future champion for a year now, and I just think that the time is starting to elapse. He's being forgot about for different reasons. You know what I mean? He's hurt. He's also only fought twice in, like, you know, 565 days, I think I saw, or something. So he's not active right now. And these other guys have been active and they're starting to move. In fact, you know, he's fell all the way down to 3. So
Yeah, and I completely get all those points, but one counter, I could also use all that to see it the complete opposite way. Because I do think the UFC wants to see him fighting for a title sooner rather than later.
yeah,
And I it would not really shock me at all if they just book him for the winner of JDM versus Islam. Because, you know, he still is undefeated and none of these other guys are. And
true.
I think, like, especially if JDM is able to get by Islam, I think that will be one of the hugest fights. I think Jack would want to give it to Shavkat. And at the same time, I could see Islam also, you know, he came up to that division to prove that he is the greatest. And what's a better way to do that than to take that man's O? But yeah, I definitely see the activity aspect of it too, which is why I'm like kind of 50-50 on it. But like, that one would not shock me at all if the UFC just said, no, yeah, he's next. Because, I mean, we've said this plenty of times. It's a good problem to have at 170. So,
yeah. Real quick, here's a name. I know I was talking about Joaquin, and how about this? I just thought this matchup because I missed his name. But if you wanted Joaquin to fight back up in the rankings, Leon Edwards versus Joaquin Buckley would be an incredible matchup.
I love that. You know, I heard some whispers that it might be Leon Morales, which, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that'd be a little bit more favorable for Leon than just giving him Morales, who's just been on a tear. But stylistically, I like that fight a lot, especially with, you know, both Buckley and Leon's size. You know, he's tall. It kind of represents the Usman matchup a little bit. So, yeah, I think that absolutely would be a home run as well.
I haven't heard that. I did not hear the Morales Leon.
It was right after Morales got the win, and it's been so much time. I really think it's just like one of those more throwaway rumors now. But that is kind of the UFC's MO. Once you have 2 losses in a row, they're like, okay, let's use the star power to propel the other guy. So it just totally seems like, you know, a hand they would play. But, you know, all of these are interchangeable. Like, I would take any of them.
Yeah. I feel like if you're feeding Leon Edwards to Michael Morales, you're willing to say this is it for Leon, right? Like, I mean, we're gonna kill him off.
Yeah, but at the same time, we thought that was this moment.
Yeah, that's true, right? Leon could have his y'all must have forgot moment too.
Yeah. And one thing I will say about Saturday's performance, I definitely got to give Leon a hell of a lot more credit for the trilogy that he won.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I thought that Leon's success in that was more just Usman, you know, second guessing himself and not getting it going. But they did implement the perfect game plan and being able to, you know, wrestle off the fence. And the difference between Buckley and Leon, when Leon got taken down, he immediately made position to get back up. He did not accept any position.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, I know it kind of sounds like I bashed Leon a lot because I picked against him a few times, but, you know, definitely that was another thing that opened my eyes. Like, okay, you know, Leon did just, fight Brady, who's just a motherfucker on the ground. And so, I would still probably favor Morales in that, but that is why I do find that matchmaking pretty tasty.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'll be interesting. Kamaru kind of said like it seemed it was weird. Like today he was like, I thought I saw a video of him talking like he was going to do kind of like the John Jones thing. He was going to wait out, but then like at times he's talked about fighting the champion, then moving up to middleweight. He wants to do if DDP is still the champion, like Africa versus Africa champ, like if they ever go to Africa. So I feel like we've been talking about that for 5 years. So I don't know if they'll ever pull that trigger. So it'll be interesting what they do with Kamaru too. And like, don't sit. I don't want to see him sit out. He's already sat out long enough and sat on a spot. I'd like to see him be active. I'd like to see him maybe hopefully get back in there one more time this year, if not the early part of next year.
Yeah, and the one thing I remembered on Saturday is I missed seeing him in the octagon.
Yeah,
It was enjoyable to see him fight. So, me wanting one more isn't an indictment on his style or anything. I just would prefer to see him fight again. We just got a little taste. And, now it's like, oh, and like the scary thing about it is it would not shock me at all if he just sat it out and waited. I mean, he definitely has the management to be able to do that. But like for me, like everything Kamaru was saying, like in his speech on Saturday, like, what the fuck are they going to say about my knees now? Sort of stuff. That type of stuff is what I would be standing up clapping for if he beat Bilal or someone like that. Then the boogeyman in the 170 division would be back. But what I saw on Saturday was just him being able to use a position he's better at to win. And, no shade at him at all. But the whole, granted, we doubted him, but I still feel like there are questions that are unanswered from what we saw compared to previous, Usman fights.
Yeah, I agree with that. And but he also acknowledged that though. Like I could, you know what I mean? So to his credit, like, hey, I did this on purpose. You know what I mean? Like this is how I'm going to win and this is how I'm going to fight until I get into some high profile fights. So I think maybe he kind of took it personally that he was on a fight night and not on a pay-per-view, Yeah.
And another thing I absolutely missed was the corner work in between rounds with him and Whitman. I just forgot like how much Usman would just listen. And, Trevor would speak and then the other coaches would speak. But, it's really great to see those old performances when it reminds you of the vintage stuff. Because let's be honest, a lot of the times it does not go that way. And like, that's why we have to absolutely give him his flowers and credit because, he showed us all. And, now just the selfish fan in me wants to see more. But, I get we're on his time and everything. But I definitely think if he wants to get that book,
time to sit out, like, you know what I mean? Just clockwise, like he's up there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But at the same time, him sitting out very well could have been why he looked so because like the thing I was blown away about his performance was his timing. It was impeccable. It didn't seem like he missed 2 years or anything.
Yeah.
It seemed like he fought 3 months ago. So, I mean, he absolutely still has it. And he's got enough in the gas tanks to still keep like, busting off the wins. But I just wonder, like at that top, like, is it really going to be like that? And that's why I really just want to see the Bilal fight. I think it's the perfect matchup and it sets him up perfectly if he wins. And it also helps the UFC out. They don't have to worry about killing off more up-and-comers, matching him up with Usman.
True. Real quick, Rose Namajunas, she also wins unanimous decision. That second round got a little hairy for her, but she pulls it out. and wins. Miranda Maverick tore her ACL in that second round as well. And I felt like in that third round, like when she got kicked, she went. I thought maybe that's that's when she went down in the third. I thought maybe that's where she had tore it, but she said she thought she tore it in the second and then fought in the third against Rose. But Rose gets a nice win. She's kind of claiming like, not really that she wants a title shot next, but just, somebody high in the rankings. I personally, she said Grasso. That makes perfect sense to me. I wouldn't really mind running it back with Blanchfield just for the simple fact that fight was so close, and I thought maybe she might have won that fight.
Yeah, I'm normally not a fan of rematches, but depending on the case, now I'm being hypocritical. But I mean, that I'd really have no issues with because I also did think she won that. A selfish part of me also thinks, well, if Wei Li moves up and wins, they could just do that fight. I would love to see a trilogy of that. I'm sure Wei Li would try to love it.
You think if Wei Li beats Valentina, Rose at 7 title fight?
In any other circumstance, when you have 2 wins over that champion, I'd have no issue with it. I mean, we've seen Khalil Roundtree get it at 8, So
That's
like,
true.
yeah,
without winning against the champ. So you're making sense.
Yeah, no, we'd see people get skipped over and stuff, but I don't know. I guess I'm more or less just saying I would, before it's all said and done, I would love to see Rose and Wei Li fight again. If I'm being honest, I know I'm being the minority here. I want to see that a lot more than her versus Valentina.
You would rather see Rose versus
Wei Li 3 over Valentina for a couple of reasons. One,
would you rather see Wei Li versus Valentina or Wei Li or Rose versus Valentina?
Probably Rose versus Valentina.
Okay.
Like I don't really have too many like I understand it's a big super fight and stuff, but to me there aren't many questions there. And I know it'd be kind of a blow for Wei Li to move up and not fight for the title first. So I know that part sounds stupid, but also moving up and immediately fighting the champion ain't no joke either. Yeah. But realistically, I think the UFC is gonna do Wei Li versus Valentina. But I really would want to see, especially at the new weight class and stuff, wouldn't make any difference there. But I know she was calling for the Grasso fight. Sure, I would pick Rose heavily in that probably, but you are talking about 2 former champions, so that would work. But especially with Blanchfield, I know Blanchfield would probably take it as a slight because she would be getting a rematch when, losing a fight 5 minutes before she was going to fight. But, it's a much more sellable matchup than a lot of the other options she has. I'm sure Blanchfield would also want Grasso. So.
Yeah, I'm just like looking at this, like the women's flyweight. So like it's like they've really, outside of Silva, like they've all kind of fought each other. You know what I mean? Like Furio's beaten Blanchfield and Rose. I'm excluding Macy Barber from this top 5 because God knows who knows what's going to happen to her after pulling out. And then you got Alexa Grasso, and Blanchfield's lost to Fiero, and so but she's beaten Rose. You got Jasmine Jazdavicius there as well, so like Double J. If they're gonna,
a lot of people were calling for Double J versus Rose on Saturday. I saw that.
Yeah, I like that too. And I think Silva, if they're going to do the title fight, give Silva a fight so she's not sitting around waiting. Like you could maybe do Rose versus her or Jasmine, Blanchfield versus her or something like that as well. So it'll be interesting.
Rose is that much of a killer that I would never counter out of the Silva fight, but I'd much prefer they do like Silva versus Blanchfield and then Rose versus Grasso. But at the same time, stylistically, that would be very interesting because, Silva's been on quite a tear. But, Rose definitely knows how to maintain her distance and isn't afraid to go to the ground. So I definitely would not sneeze at that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what they do there. Real quick, just kind of on the Atlanta card. I mean, Paul Craig, what do you make of that Paul Craig Bellato fight? The fake knockout / maybe knockout / now it's a no contest. We rebooked this for a third time. You got the herpes pull out, the no contest.
Hell no. You let it die. Like, so legitimately, so it's even funny here. Funny backstory. So I was at Chinese food when this fight was going on, and I had him put it on the TV there. And I saw it happen in real time. I'm like, oh, what the hell? So I threw it on my phone to run it back and check it. And I believe what happened is when they went to the tape, they looked at it and were like, because normally it would probably be a DQ. Yeah. And I think they looked at it and thought, this guy's out of his fucking mind. He's trying to pull a fast one. And, they did it in no contest. Now, obviously, I can't really speak for what he was dealing with. But in real time, when I saw that, like, first off, that should be a legal shot. Like, that is the dumbest fucking rule ever. Agreed. I know we're not trying to, like, rewrite the rules on this show, but that is just so stupid. But granted, it was a foul. It should be legal.
I agree.
Yeah, it should be legal. But, I saw people saying that, like, he got screwed. Save that. Like, nobody got screwed in that. Like, sure, if you want to talk about pay and stuff, yeah, they probably got a raw deal. But if Dana was actually at that event and present, I think they already would have cut his ass. Like, I literally don't think he knows that even happened. And there's no way they could book that for a third time. You would have to be so sick in the head to be like, okay, we had the one, then we did this, and we put it on, and didn't they even like make it a main card prelim? So,
yeah.
And I will say one thing. Anthony Smith was talking about what happened, saying, hey, I know a lot of shit when I see it. And what I did think, kind of what Mike is saying here, that really did sound like the weirdest campaign of, damn, I could have been the UFC light heavyweight champion if I just would have said I wouldn't continue. But instead that you didn't, this guy's a fucking fraud and a cheater. And so I could see both sides of it. But like, I love Lionheart for like telling it how it is, but like, right message, wrong sender. Like
our guy Kevin Holland Oates is saying rebook it for IFW, replace the Costa Kopylov fight. So maybe they do a third. Maybe they do it a third time.
I said last week you would not even realize if they pulled that fight from the card. And lo and behold, like, I ain't crying over no spilled milk with that one. I'm just upset it didn't completely get canceled. Like, I'm just glad it's off International Fight Week. I never understood that being on there. It's probably a visa issue. So, I'm not trying to like cloud on the guys or anything, but like that fight just has like that welterweight or the middleweight appetite of, I'm already full. Do I really need this on my plate? So, I would never like, celebrate a fight not happening, but that's essentially what I'm doing here. And, I'm just, and everyone's saying like, where are they going to replace it with? you replace it with the sponsorship on the poster. Like nobody is crying about losing that. I'm sorry.
I don't know. At first when it first happened, I never want to say a guy is faking it in the knockout, right? When he got knocked out. Like, I don't want to ever, because I don't know why you would, right? Like, I guess just to get a win, but you're already winning the fight. You know what I mean? Like, you're already kind of winning. Like, I agree. It should be a legal strike.
And he's fighting fucking Paul Craig. Like, I mean, and I'm not trying to.
Paul Craig has
Paul
wins
Craig,
over champions, okay?
but
Paul
like
Craig,
that was probably going to be Craig's most significant strike in the fight. So I just don't really understand what, and so like maybe that's the one case for him that he actually did get fucked up and he didn't know where he was, but watching it back did not help his case.
Yeah, agreed. When I watched it back, I was like, he seems kind of faking it. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about real quick Malcolm Wellmaker. I mean, this kid's got star and a story written all over him. I mean, he knocks out Chris. I said, I tweeted out Chris Matino lost the hair and the chin. So when he needs to go back to the green hair, it gave him a better chin. Wellmaker put him down in just is nasty. This kid's got a nice story, Bobby. He's knocking folks out. He's undefeated at 10-0. I like this kid. I'm becoming a fan.
Yeah, I mean, if people weren't already on the train, they'll definitely be on it now. Fight IQ's insane. Faking the kick to get the knockout. I mean, practicing in the back. A lot of people think this stuff happens on a whim, but like he was training that, and he took it on extremely short notice. I mean, granted, his opponent did too, but he just seems ready. And I'll be very interested to see how far he can go. I'll be tuned in anytime that he's fighting for sure.
Yeah. Kevin says next time Chris gets a call from Hunter Campbell, he needs to take it as a sign of disrespect. Probably don't want to pick up the phone. I feel bad for Matino because like he reminds me of like a AAA hitter, right? Like the guy just absolutely rakes in like AAA baseball, and then like gets caught up to the majors and just can't, like for whatever reason, can't hit like a curveball or so. You know what I mean? Just like that's Matino. And like it's like you look on when he was like 7-0 since he got cut from the UFC. Like he was on a tear. He was just beating a bunch of dudes in the kind of the smaller circuits, and then goes and gets the call and just absolutely gets smoked. By Wellmakers. So
yeah, I hope the UFC at least gives him a fight on a full camp and stuff. Because I still got to tip my hat to him for taking it. Nobody else in the UFC wanted to take it. They literally had to sign someone out of the organization. Yeah. And but yeah, no, that power is not fucking around. So I'd be really interested to see where they go matchmaking wise.
That's kind of my next question for you. Is like, do you do the slow burn with Wellmaker, this kid, and you kind of build him up? Or do you kind of fast track him?
Especially with the activity he's been doing, like he just recently fought. I wouldn't want his next fight to be someone like highly ranked or anything like that. But I'm not talking like slow build Bo Nickel style. But let's see.
You give him like kind of like the O'Malley treatment, like 2 or 3, 4 guys maybe under, not ranked, and then a ranked guy, and then see how he does against that guy, and then we kind of fast track him after that.
Yeah, and I mean at the same time, like that division ranked is still pretty dangerous. I know a lot of people say it's like stale and stuff, but I mean those are a lot of really good fighters there. So
yeah, I'm looking at Marcus McGee right now is 13, like, and he, you know what I mean? Like, so like he's getting ready to fight way up there. I'm just looking at the UFC rankings got Montel Jackson and Vinicius Oliveira is like 14 and 15.
The Oliveira fight would be very fun stylistically for sure, but Oliveira is also on quite a tear. So, but that is a good point with McGee. You do see when the UFC sees how these guys fight and they fight exciting, that they do want to give him that push and stuff. And granted, like with Jan, it seemed like Jan wanted to fight. So like Jan is definitely taking a big risk in that. I don't think they're going to go that high, but if you're asking me, is he ready for ranked opposition? I'd say absolutely. But I'd still like them to give him one more and then for him to call for the ranked number there. Because, it still is, maybe give him someone that is more grappling heavy and see how he fares, but not ranked, But I'm not going to doubt the kid. I'm sure he'll be ready for whatever they throw at him. But, I guess the best example I can go with is just look at what happened to Peyton Talbot,
Yeah.
Like they gave him someone that used the wrestling game plan, and now the UFC have him buried on the prelims of International Fight Week against a very tough opponent. They've completely taken the training wheels off there. So
what about here's the name, and he was on the same card. What about Cody Garbrandt?
Yeah, I love that fight. Absolutely. Do that. That's the type of thing I'm talking about there. Instead of like vaulting him up to the very top, give him something where we're going to be able to learn a little bit more about him just before we start, throwing him to all these killers.
Yeah, I'm looking. So I was looking at. I went to Tapology in their rankings. So they got Wellmaker the 35th best bantamweight in the world right now. So, and they do have Cody Garbrandt number 27. So,
yeah, and I mean, Cody might have lost, but he looked good in that fight. And stylistically, I think him versus Wellmaker would be pretty entertaining too. And definitely like the performance Cody had, I know he's got plenty more to offer in the cage. So I like that a lot.
You beat a former champion, or maybe like I was looking Adrian Yanez type or somebody like that, somewhere around there. I think this kid's going to be a star. I think he's got. I mean, I like his story. I like the way he fight.
My next request would be either have him be the headliner of the prelims on a pay-per-view, or put him that first fight on the main card. I definitely think he's at that level for sure.
Yeah, before we get into this week's card, there's some news and notes I want to get into real quick. What do you make DC? DC is coming out and he's saying that Islam's only going to fight 3 more times, and that includes the JDM fight. I mean, we haven't heard from Islam him say this himself, but this is the rumors.
I mean, what he said, 4 more?
3 more, including this next fight against JDM.
That really wouldn't shock me at all. To be honest, that's kind of what I thought he'd had, because it was all about the move to 170. So now that he did the move to 170, I figured, he'd go to 170, attempt to win the title, defend the title once at 170, and then possibly go back down to 55 for his last fight. But at the same time, I could see him just doing all 3 at 170. But yeah, that is not shocking to me at all. It especially like when you look at the career that is, especially with like how Khabib did it, this sport is dangerous, and it's much better to go out on top because there's always going to be that new contender. And when you continue to beat these guys, I know a lot of them, he doesn't get, credit. He didn't get too much credit for the Moicano win because that was on, the day notice or whatever, but he still took that fight and finished it. So yeah, for me personally, I'm definitely buying the 3 fights. And, you could say maybe DC is just going for content, but I definitely do also think those words actually matter. So if we're buying or selling that comment, I'd probably be buying it. Ooh, it looks like I'm solo here. Okay. Well, I'm sure he'll be back. Going back off that, I could totally see Islam fighting more than 3 fights, but at the same time, how many more, and what is he gonna, continue to accomplish? Is it all just about putting rubies on the 170 title? Is he ever gonna entertain the fight with Ilya? I mean, obviously Ilya has a, huge test, in a coming week. So I'm not trying to count those chickens before they hatch. But for me, I think Islam has done more than enough to be able to call his own shots and what he has to do. And I definitely think that is why the UFC wanted to get the 155 title on Ilya as soon as possible, because they know very well that they're on probably borrowed time with Islam. He's already the pound for pound king. So how many more victories is he going to have until he rides off to the sunset? It very well could be 3 there. So wouldn't shock me at all. Welcome back, brother.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what the fuck happened. Literally, my laptop just shut out, and then just it's like your laptop restart, Chrome just automatically restarted. I'm like, the fuck? What were we talking about?
Pretty much Islam are we buying or selling the 3 fights? And from where I'm at, I just think it's valid, because another 3, that's a lot. I mean, I know it doesn't sound like
that's
a lot.
A year though. That's like a year, really. You know what I mean?
That's a year, or if he fights 3 fights a year, but he's more kind of been on the 2 a year there.
Yeah,
and especially if you're talking about him being a double champion when he wins the 170 title, it's let's put some names to those. Okay, we got Islam. Let's say he gets by and he beats JDM. His next fight would be against Shavkat. So if he's able to get that off, those are already 2 extremely impressive wins.
And then maybe he goes back down and fights Ilya?
Or he might call it and fight Usman and give Usman his title shot. I mean, you know me, I would love the Ilya fight, but him being at 170 and defending, I just don't see him wanting to go back down to 55, even though he's expressed interest in wanting to do it. But like he said, he doesn't do a lot of interviews. So a lot of the times when his, name is in the press, it's nothing with his doing. But at least this isn't some, random Islam hater. This is his brother, Daniel Cormier. So if anyone's going to speak on it, I'm glad it's at least him and not some, aggregating account there.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up his how old Islam is. I don't feel like maybe just because I don't feel like he's been fighting super long time. You know what I mean? But I guess right. I mean, Khabib retired pretty, when he could have still going. So maybe he's just gonna take that kind of route, and become this double champ and then call it good.
Yeah, but at the same time, we have yet to see the 170 fight yet. So who knows? That you're spotting him 15 pounds. And once he does that, he might think, oh, I got at least 5 more in me. Let's go. So that that's why I'm so excited.
He's got 28 fights because he's 27-1.
Yeah. And, that is still quite a bit of miles. And, there's really, I really wish more fighters would take from, what Khabib did in going out on top. That is nothing to really sneeze at, because, there's always going to be another challenger, and damn well the promotion will try to milk every single fucking fight out of you. So I would love a lot more for these guys to go out on their own time. Granted, Cejudo did it, but he did it in more of a way that he was trying to negotiate, which I still think to this day was a mistake. But if he actually wanted to call it a career there and retire, more power to him. But that is not what he was trying to do. He was trying to negotiate. So,
Islam's only 30. He's only 33 years old. I mean, he's still got.
Yeah, he's still very young. But Khabib retired in his prime.
Yeah.
So and let's get it straight. When Islam says he's done, he will absolutely be done.
Agreed. I don't think.
What'd that last comment say?
Muhammad here's is saying Ilya will lose from Charles. From Charles. So that's what he's saying. He thinks so, because I said Ilya if Ilya beats. So he thinks that Charles will beat Ilya. Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of the chart. It's funny to see this, because I'm not doubting at all what he thinks. It definitely could happen, but it is very funny to see all of these people that used to despise Charles, and I'm talking, they were not fans of him at all. And now all of a sudden, because Ilya came with the cocky disrespect to Islam, it's Charles Oliveira all day. And I mean, the guy still does get hit. I'm not ruling out Charles because he's a former champion, but I have kind of enjoyed seeing that online discourse of these people that in the past have buried Charles are now going, oh, he's our king. But
he's our hero.
I get it. They're going to fan for their guy. I'm not going to ever tell anyone how to fan. And it just makes it all more entertaining. So,
yeah. What do you, it'll be interesting with what happens with Islam. I just think at 33, like you said, Khabib did it, and there's no amount of money. They're not going to come back. They are a man of principle. So I think once he does hang it up, he hangs it up. I'd like to hear it from him, though. And like you said, at least we're hearing it from DC. He's the one that's saying these things. Real quick before we get into this week's card as well, Dana kind of announced that the Abu Dhabi card and more key, kind of everything we kind of already knew, but it's now official. Mozart Evilov versus Pico. It makes his UFC debut. I mean, I've said this. Mozart's he's kind of getting the Bilal Muhammad and Merab treatment. You got to have to win 10 in a row before we ever give you a title shot.
And not only that, in the announcement, Dana was straight salt in the wounds. If he wins this one, he's definitely going to fight Volkanovski next.
We'll probably consider it. We'll think about it then if he wins this one.
The only thing that gave me hope in that is maybe they're not doing Yair Volk next, and Volk is actually going to wait on the winner. I know that doesn't sound like Volk because he's all about the activity, but I'm hearing inconsistent things with Yair. 1 second he's getting the title shot, the next second he needs surgery. He absolutely needs to be healthy for that fight, considering how the first one went. But that card is a straight site fee galore. If you compare that to the last pay-per-view, it destroys it, and it's free. So, it's on ABC. And, even the Baku card this week, another, site fee baby. You can see it in the matchmaking. And I love the matchup. I just hate how we're getting here. And, I'm not selling Pico short or anything. It shows how high the UFC thinks of Pico, but they definitely haven't learned their lesson with, matching up incoming Bellator fighters.
Well, I said this, like, they either think like, hey, you think you guys thought, Patchy Mix at one time was the best bantamweight in the world. He couldn't even beat our number 10 bantamweight, person. And, you thought Pitbull was this dude. Well, guess what? Like, he couldn't even beat number 2, or number 3 in Yair, whatever Yair's ranked. So now, here's Aaron Pico coming in. Oh, you guys think he's really great? Well, let's see if he can beat our number 1 ranked guy in Mozart. I don't.
This is the one scenario where I think it's actually the latter.
Yeah.
And they're saying we believe in him so much, we want him to beat Mosafar. When in any other scenario, it's the opposite of let's show these Bellator motherfuckers what time it is.
I think they want anybody. Like I said, he's getting the Marab treatment. You're going to have to win 10 in a row. And maybe it's because he's undefeated and he's has 0 finishes. You know what I mean? So he's getting the Marab Bilal treatment. You're gonna have to beat 10, 15 people before we give you a title shot.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just like lame ass scorecard watching too. Cause like if you were to actually watch those fights, like to me, it's a clear-cut case. I've heard other people like try to even compare it to, well, if it's him or Yair, I don't see a case for either. Like
I see that 1,001%. I see the case for Mozart. I'm not even a Mozart fan, but like to me, he has the best case in the whole division. And to me, Yair has 1 win against an aging Pitbull, and we already saw him versus Volk. And guess what? I don't need to see it again.
And not only that, but Volkanovski wanted the fight. Like he literally said, I want to take that guy's 0. And so, it was wishful thinking on my part to think that they might pivot and slide Mosafar in there. And now it's wishful thinking on my part, hoping that Volk will wait around. But, either way, yeah,
we know Volk won't just wait around. Like, here's the thing: if the UFC call says we need you and Yair next week, Volk's signing the papers, and we'll see him and Yair next week.
And he's collecting his ruby.
Let's get into this week's card. It's you mentioned it's at UFC Baku, and it's a nice card, Bobby, and it's none other headlined by Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill, Rafael Fiziev, and Ignacio Bamhamiditas. Where's Whit when you need him to pronounce all these names for?
Oh, I got a real tongue twister for Whit.
And we finally get, for the 5th time, I mean, talking about fights that have been canceled and rebooked, we finally get Curtis Blades versus Rizvan versus Canutas. And I don't want to say finally yet because the fight hasn't happened. We still got to get to Saturday afternoon before that fight happens as well. So, our guy Oban Elliott's on this card. The Turtles on this card as well. So, your thoughts here on just the card alone, and then we'll kind of look at those top 2.
Yeah, I mean, the main and co-main are built very well. It should be very entertaining. My low-key candidate for fight of the night, and of course, Whit ain't here, so I'm going to butcher these. I'm not even going to try to do his last name, but he'll be a hometown guy fighting. He'll be making his UFC debut, champion, former champion in our organization, and it'll be Tofik versus Orobai. And Orobai was my fight of the year last year. He didn't win, but like that to me is going to be 15 minutes of popcorn. I have no idea even how it's going to go because Orobai's opponent is more than game. I know Orobai is a slight favorite, But I'm glad that one's on the main card because it absolutely deserves it. And though I am very excited for the main and co-main, for me, that's the people's main event. And Dana might as well just get the 50 G's ready because I just don't see how that isn't going to deliver. Like, even when Oral Bai is out of a fight, he will keep pushing forward. So I can't wait for that one.
I'd be remiss too if we didn't. Last week we ended the card with a Usman on it. We start this week with the card with a Usman on it. Good old Mohammed Usman is opening up the card, so as well. Just,
I mean,
I had to see it.
Why couldn't they put him on the same card with his brother?
That's a good point. Good point.
I mean, maybe he wanted Kamaru there or something, so it was the week apart. But yeah, I mean, it should be entertaining that he's opening up the card and stuff. So at least it'll be a reason to tune in early. But and Mo's got a chance to show us, like, is he going to be something in this division, or is he just going to remain kind of lower on the card?
Yeah.
It's I know a lot of people will like compare him to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and but he did win the Ultimate Fighter. He actually does have a story, kind of worth rooting for there, but you just kind of got to see him get in there and get the win. But they're not necessarily giving him the easiest matchup either, so it should be entertaining.
Yeah, he's actually the dog on the card. He's going up against Hamdi Adbadababa. So there's that.
We miss you, Whit.
Yeah. Yeah. I need Wit to pronounce all the names. Our guy Oban Elliott minus 550. But again, to me, it's all about the main and the co-main. Ignacio.
That's a wild opponent switch up for Oban being minus 550 too.
Yeah.
So that's another one. I'm glad they're doing it on the main prelim. But yeah, that should be an entertaining fight.
I mean, Rafael Fazia is fighting in his home country here. And Ignacio he's on quite the run as well. He's won his last 3 in a row, 4 out of his last 5. Remember, he's the one that just subbed Jalen Turner back in March, and he's taking on Rafael Fazia. This is, you're high on Ignacio. He's the one that trains with Bilal, and who do you kind of like in this co-main event?
I didn't even look at the odds for this one, but
Rafael's plus 110, so it's almost even.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I see it. Like Faziev is coming off a few losses, but he's taking fights on short notice, and he's only been fighting guys at the top and stuff. I mean,
it's not a 3-fight losing streak, but 2 of those were to Justin Gaethje. So
yeah, and that one Gaethje fight, he saved the card when Hooker pulled out, and but this definitely is a really tough test for Faziev, who is on a 3-fight losing streak, and yeah, they're definitely I wouldn't say throwing him to the wolves. But this is definitely a tough fight because not only will Ignacio kind of push the pressure the entire time, but he also can grapple as well. So, it's interesting. It's in Faziev's hometown. I know he was calling for that. And I don't know if you can remember, but this was not the original matchup, right? They had Faziev matched up with someone else, and then they pivoted to Ignacio. And I can't remember the matchup before, but it was a much more winnable fight. And now this is like really a coin flip to me.
I don't remember, but let me pull it up.
And this is 3 rounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of makes it tough for me because especially in those 3-round fights, that's when Fiziev can kind of struggle. Like if he starts slow and like maybe gives away a round and stuff. And I don't expect Ignacio to start slow at all. So, you know, I have it as a pick 'em, but I think I'm leaning Ignacio here, just off, you know, the work he's done in the cage. But it would not shock me at all if, you know, Fiziev was able to slow down the momentum and get the win. But I'm probably going to have to lean Ignacio here. I'd probably go decision. If he's able to get him out of there, that'd be even more impressive. But then again, the grappling could definitely be a way to not have it go to the judges as well.
So Tapology doesn't have anything on Fiziev's, like opponent pulling out or anything. So maybe it was like a rumor or something.
Probably. Got to stay off that damn Twitter.
Yeah. But so you like Ignacio to win?
Probably. You know, another thing that gives me a little hang up is the injury with Fiziev. I mean, he looked great in the Gaethje fight, but you know, especially I'm glad he's kind of getting back in there and getting back in the cage. But you know, I'm not trying to like overlook him because, you know, before he was on that 3-fight losing streak, he was just, you know, raking after win. So we can definitely see kind of that older Fiziev come back.
And really, if you look at his 3 losses, 2 to Justin Gaethje, and I'm thinking that the Gamrot fight is when he tore his ACL. So like, you know what I mean? And like, so, and he was that was kind of early on. So I'm not saying like not all things are created equal here.
Yeah. But like the main reason I'm leaning towards Ignacio is every time we see this kid in the cage, he just gets better. Yeah. And I would expect the same thing in this scenario. This is his chance to fight a ranked opponent. And I know Fiziev is number 11, but I'd expect them to at least put him in the top 10 if he gets a win here. So, yeah, I wouldn't be mad at either guy winning this fight, but I think I'm going to have to pick Ignacio here.
Yeah, I think Ignacio, if he might try to take this to the ground, and we know that that's like not Fiziev. Fiziev wants to stand and bang and throw them hands. I have a hard time. I don't know. I have a soft spot for Fiziev. I really do. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I just like the way he speaks, the way he fights. I really like him. You know what? I'm riding with the hometown hero. Give me Fiziev to get back on track, baby. We can't have a 4-fight losing streak. Nah, he knows he's got to win this one.
And that's a huge win for him if he can get it done. He's going to be right back in the mix. I know Ignacio is not ranked, but I mean, still, that is a huge feather in Fiziev's cap if he can get it done, and they'll put him right back in the mix.
Yeah, let's get to the main event here. It is these guys are supposed to fight in Kansas City back in April.
You were supposed to see this.
I was supposed to see it, yeah. Instead, here we are. It is Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree, and you know the odds are out here saying it is so Jamal Hill's even while Roundtree's at -120. So I think the odds have kind of come back down into Hill's favor. We haven't seen Roundtree since October, when he lost the title fight. Before that was on the run. To me, has looked the outside of Ankalaev looked the best against Alex at 205, and he's taken on Jamal Hill, who we haven't seen Jamal since January of last year I guess this year of 18 this year when he lost to Yuri. He has obviously lost his last 2 fights, once to Alex and then once to Yuri. So he's trying to snap his 2-fight losing streak. Both these guys, Roundtree are Hill's kind of higher in the rankings. Roundtree's right there trying to get back into the mix as well. Bobby, how do you like this one? This is a striker's delight as well. What do you put what's the takedowns? You over under what?
Oh, I mean that is kind of. I know Hill will definitely stand and trade.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you say that the odds are pretty much even, because if you ask MMA Twitter, 95% of them are picking Roundtree. And I mean, let's just call it for what it is. It's just people despise Jamal Hill. I've never really understood it. I mean, I told you the last time for the Yuri fight, especially when I rewatched it, he gives us literally everything we want, leaves it all out on the line, and he ain't afraid to get hit. And
neither one of these guys are, Bobby. I mean, we watched Roundtree go blow for blow against Alex Pierre.
But like, the reason I'm bringing this up is like when Roundtree did that, everyone's just cucking him, fucking like, yeah, this guy is a fucking warrior. Yeah. Like, oh, well done. You didn't go for any takedowns, even though you probably could have won the fight if you tried to hold him up against the fence. And, say what you will about Jamal Hill, but like, he's a former champion. And, I've already seen the meme, save it for like the people he's won, like, Glover is, retired and stuff. Yep. But legitimately, I view this as a 50-50 fight because of these guys' fighting style. And I don't know, because of that, like, if you're making me pick one, I'm going to pick the guy that I know will make adjustments in the fight. Roundtree says he learned a lot from that Pereira fight. Respectfully, I didn't see it. Because, like, if he learned a lot from that fight, he would have maybe tried to do something different. And I know Jamal Hill will try to switch something up and do it different. I can't say the same about Khalil Roundtree. I think, but more than that, than anything, the damage that Roundtree took in that last fight was like 5 fights. I mean, he won the first few rounds, but he definitely took a lot of damage. And yeah, Hill got finished in his last fight, and Pereira was able to knock Hill out. But I don't think Hill has taken anywhere near the amount of damage that Roundtree has. And in a 50-50 fight like that, especially knowing that Jamal will adjust, I think that's why I'm leaning that way. So, yeah, I lose you again. Looked like a third person jumped in for a second. Oh, there we go. You're back. But yeah, I mean, for the gavel, I'm going to be going with Sweet Dreams here. So give me Jamal.
Wow. I do think so here's what I think. What you asked, like, why they're almost the same type, right? Like, Jamal is like ride or die on his shield type too. He's everything you want in a fighter. I think people respect Roundtree more just because the way he approaches the game. We know Jamal he's kind of a heel, you know what I mean? Like, he really is. He talks his shit. He's got his podcast, or his YouTube channel or whatever, and just talks his shit. But it did seem like he was very respectful after the fight, and even really kind of going into the fight with Yuri. You know what I mean? Like, they was kind of respectful before, and then even after. Like, there's videos of them like having a drink. I did meet Jamal Hill in Kansas City. So he was there. Both of them were actually there, but only one went out to the bars afterwards. So there's that. Or maybe Roundtree just didn't go to the bars that I was at. To me, like, I got to meet Jamal Hill. I didn't, just a quick interaction, and he didn't seem like a heel to me. But it was super nice. And anyway, there's something about Roundtree I just love. I just do. I love the way he fights, the way he comes to the game. I don't think he's regressed. I've seen that come across. I don't really think he's regressed. I mean, this guy's pretty damn good, if you ask me. I think he's gonna. I think like the takedowns. I don't think we'll see. I mean, we may not see a single one in this fight. Neither one of these guys. Roundtree's never attempted a takedown in any of his fights.
Yeah, but because of that, I could totally see.
What if he just starts taking people down?
No, Roundtree ain't taking anyone down. But I could totally see Jamal throwing up a level change in there to make him think about it. And but I'm not trying to say he's regressed at all, but has he gotten any better from the Pereira fight?
We don't know. This is his first fight. We're going to find out.
Yeah, but that is like my biggest kind of question in this is, has he gotten any better? Is he going to do anything differently? And
they both have questions going into this fight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. And I mean it. I said I thought Orelbai could be fight of the night, but I mean, let's be honest, the main and the co-main could easily get that.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't think they're, I hate saying this, so I'll knock on some wood, but I don't see how this one could be lackluster at all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Jones versus Ngannou versus Derek Lewis type. But I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. I'm riding with Khalil Roundtree here. Again, soft spot for him. I don't really like. I just think he can. I think he can get Jamal Hill out of there.
This is officially, by the way, the first fight you've ever picked that I already knew who you were picking without us even talking. So
oh, really? You knew I was picking Roundtree?
Oh yeah, it wasn't even a question. Like,
oh shit.
Yeah, no, I mean that, and I understand why. I'm not trying to shade the pick at all, but normally, like, to break the third wall, I don't always know where you're going. I had a feeling I knew where you're going here.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm riding with Roundtree on this one. So I don't really have I don't really have any beef with anything against Jamal Hill. I just think Roundtree's the better overall fighter, and that's it. I've always said Jamal Hill reminds me of like the drunk uncle who can knock people out, and doesn't always come in the best shape. Like, you look at him, he's not, not saying that 205 guys or even, heavyweights are the best shape, but look at the two and you know what I mean? You can tell me which guys I feel like is more serious about this game.
Yeah, but look at Fedor,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Is the,
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, Roy Nelson. I mean, there's guys like that. I'm not disputing that either. Yeah. So, all right, Bobby. Before we get out here, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all. I'm so happy you didn't ask me about who. So we'll just leave it at that, and we'll see him next week.
Well, yeah, there's a 2-week time ticker, and we're not. I told you we're not talking about John Jones and Aspinall until we know something. Until there's something.
Yeah, I'm more just enjoying it at this point, watching people get worked up over it. It's especially like the. No, I'm just gonna go on a rant. So let's call it
for next week. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We'll be back next week, 8:00 Central, 9 Eastern. See you then.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.